Now, police in Nyeri Central Sub-County are holding a prison warden and a widow over the death of businessman Erasmus Iguku in Nyeri.
As the world edged closer to Christmas on December 19, 2021, Erasmus Iguku Kinyua, a 61-year-old tycoon in Nyeri, was seated in his electrical shop. He was winding down his day when he received a business call just after 8 p.m. The call involved a land buyer requesting for a site visit. Citing his polite, patient, and perhaps habitually helpful nature, Erasmus agreed. And since the client had earlier inquired about the land, Erasmus decided to shut down his shop, climbed into his white probox, and left for a meetup. All this while, he was unaware that he was staring into a meticulously laid trap. Waiting on the other side was his soon-to-be killer Benson Musili. Musili was a prison warden from Kingongo Maximum Prison who had introduced himself falsely as the buyer. That night, their journey from Nyeri to Kangemi would not end in negotiation but in cold and calculated murder. Sources later revealed that Musili had been paid allegedly by Erasmus's own wife, Dorcas Wamboi Iguku. He had been paid to ensure that Erasmus would never return home alive. The caller's timing was just days before Christmas, and this sent shockwaves throughout Nyeri. Welcome to Dark Hour Dogs, where shadows speak and truth finds light. Tonight, we follow the tragic unraveling of a marriage, the misuse of authority, and betrayal from within. A story culminating in the brutal murder of a man many knew as kind, generous, and upright. Viewer discretion is advised. Erasmus Iguku Kinyua began his career as an engineer with Kenya Power in 1985. This was after pursuing a degree in electrical engineering at the Technical University of Kenya. In 2018, after 3 decades of service, he retired and shifted focus to entrepreneurship. This led to him opening multiple electric supply stores in Nyeri town, most notably Mukaro and Ware, and earned a reputation for fair pricing and his generosity. Locally, he was more than a businessman, he was a philanthropist. He sponsored young graduates in his businesses and extended his kindness to the community and the church. The Nyeri town chief recalled how during COVID-19 pandemic, Erasmus bought food for struggling families in Majengo slums and offered free electrical wiring to churches. To outsiders, his marriage of 31 years to Dorcas Wamboi appeared harmonious. But whispers of infidelity and unspoken tension had begun to swirl. Friends noted a shift in Erasmus. Once a serene man, he started questioning his wife's loyalty. Rumors aside, he remained a devoted father, a community pillar, trusting those closest to him, including the one who would betray him. Beneath the surface, Erasmus's and Dorcas's marriage was deteriorating. According to friends, Erasmus suspected her of seeing someone else, creating growing resentment. That someone was Benson Musili, a prison warden. What began as an affair evolved into a dangerous and illicit partnership, giving rise to something far more sinister. Musili, by the book, was entrusted with public security, but his actions suggest that he betrayed that trust. The two allegedly began exchanging messages late into the night, conspiring beyond the confines of romance. Dorcas reportedly hinted privately at divorce, potentially expecting a financial settlement from Erasmus's business assets. But divorce demands negotiation, something Dorcas and Benson apparently wanted to bypass completely. Instead, they chose a darker, irrevocable route. Deep investigation revealed a calculated and sinister plot. Dorcas is said to have shared Erasmus's exact schedule, vehicle details, and the date they would meet. Musili leveraged his connections within the prison system to recruit 2 ex-convicts. He offered them Kenya shillings 400,000 in advance and labeled it blood money. Conversations, phone metadata, and bank transaction logs showed that Dorcas coordinated logistics. Messages suggest that Benson confirmed pickup arrangements and provided guidance to the hitmen. This was no crime of passion. It was a meticulously planned ambush designed to ensure Erasmus had never returned home. On December 19, Erasmus's probox was last seen near Kangemi at around 8:30 p.m. CCTV footage confirmed the vehicle's lights, and by 9 p.m. it was found idling on a secluded back road with the passenger door open. Witnesses' reports indicate raised voices, thuds, and sudden silence. This implies that there was use of force. Later, the body was discovered beside the scene. An autopsy painted a sobering picture involving strangulation, blunt force trauma, and whip-like injuries. This is evidence that Erasmus was tortured before being killed. Police ruled it as an execution and not an accident. By December 21, detectives from the DCI were at work. Using phone metadata, they tracked the phone of Erasmus and the accomplice, piecing together the route. This involved ATM withdrawals in Machakos. The DCI was thus able to close in on Dorcas and Benson in Kiva, Machakos County, where the two were hiding after fleeing the scene. They were arrested while allegedly trying to escape further and transported back to Nyeri.
Yake ambaye tumeweza kumshika akiwa na mwanamume mwingine ambaye alikuwa ni rafiki yake wa kando, na tuliwashikia bali huko mahali kunaitwa Kiva pande ya Masiga, that is hiyo ni county ya Machakos, na tukawaregesha hapa kwa sababu kulingana na uchunguzi wetu ni kama walikuwa wanajaribu kutoroka ndio wasipatikane hapa.
In Nyeri, the two were charged with conspiracy to murder and murder in furtherance. 3 other suspects had already been arrested. These suspects were later released due to insufficient evidence. Forensics uncovered a chilling money trail. KSh 400,000 had been paid in advance. Bank statements and cash withdrawal slips confirmed the transfer of this blood money. Also, Benson's phone logs revealed multiple calls to the ex-convicts before and after the murder. This hinted at their coordination. Dorcas's own account also showed suspicious large transactions just days before December 19. One ex-convict admitted in court that Dorcas had assured full payment after finishing, and that he recognized Benson's voice issuing orders. In short, this was murder by contract with both brains and money involved. On January 10, 2022, Dorcas, Benson, and another suspect, Simon Kariuki, appeared before Deputy Registrar Edina Angima at Nyeri High Court. The absence of the judge meant that plea taking was deferred to February 1st. Therefore, all 3 were remanded in custody, while 3 others were released due to insufficient evidence. Official charges included murder and conspiracy. Each faced testimony from the investigating police, and High Court Judge Florence Muchemi will later rule on bail applications. Prosecutors outlined the motive below for committing the crime: greed, passion, abuse of authority, and cover-up. Concerning greed, Dorcas stood to inherit Erasmus's thriving electrical shops, land, and insurance proceeds. Regarding passion, she had grown close to Benson, thus desiring a breakup. On abuse of authority, Benson weaponized his status and prison contacts to recruit hitmen. Finally, on cover-up, the two systematically destroyed evidence, burning SIM cards and deleting text messages. This pointed to meticulous premeditation. It was betrayal on multiple fronts of romance, financial, and professional that all converged in a calculated murder. However, on February 24, 2022, bail was granted to Dorcas and Benson at 1 million Kenya shillings, despite prosecution claims at their flight risks. The next scheduled hearing took place later in 2022, focusing on pre-trial motions. Prosecutors aimed for comprehensive presentation of metadata from phones, forensic analysis, and hitman testimonies. They successfully built their case on the triple pillar of motive, planning, and execution. However, defense strategies emerged that challenged forensic chain of custody, witnesses' credibility, and Dorcas's mental state. Given the first-degree murder charge, mandatory life sentences were possible if convicted. Nonetheless, the defense's tactics looked to muddy evidence to prolong proceedings. On December 23rd, thousands gathered at Kaharo Catholic Church to bury Erasmus. A 1-kilometer funeral procession cut through central Nyeri. His kindness was widely mourned. At the pulpit, Nyeri town chief emphasized that he was humble and helped the needy. The chief continued and said that if one is unsafe in marriage, he should leave before it's too late. Social media exploded with commentary. Some posted, "R.I.P. Mr. Iguku, your murderer's wife will never live to enjoy what you worked for." Community leaders also condemned spells of violence and betrayal, framing this tragedy as a stark warning. They stressed that greed, lust, and abuse of authority destroys lives. Erasmus wasn't just a public figure. He was a caring father and an honest businessman. His untimely death reminds us that behind headlines lie intricate human emotions of pain, jealousy, and abuse of power. At this stage, few questions still arise. Will Dorcas and Benson receive just sentences? Will the hitmen be brought to account? Will the family attain closure? Their trial is more than legal protocol. It's a reflection of society. How we respond shapes future boundaries. No loyalty to blood or love can justify murder. Until justice is served, this haunting story remains suspended in memory. Erasmus's death is more than just a tragedy. It's a cautionary tale with powerful lessons. These lessons are: 1. Marital crisis must be faced openly. This is because counseling fosters dialogue and prevents irreversible decisions. 2. Financial clarity is essential where shared assets exist. This is because hidden resentment can fester in silence. 3. Abuse of authority breaks social trust. When protectors become predators, it is justice that suffers. 4. Prevention matters. Advocating for early stress intervention in marriage is crucial, and this encourages external support and mediation. Thank you for staying with us through this painful yet important story. If you believe in justice and accountability, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss ongoing coverage of this story. We urge respectful discussion through your comments below. What do you think drove this betrayal? Greed, passion, or a deadly mix of both? Until our next investigation, stay curious, stay vigilant, and remember, truth may be delayed, but it's never denied.